My name is Tina Roach. I'm 31. And I found out my parents bought their dream house the same way you find out a stranger got married. Through a picture you weren't meant to see. It happened on a random Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting at my desk in a quiet office in Portland, pretending to care about emails, while my coffee went cold beside me. Then my phone buzzed. One notification. One photo. At first, it looked like any other family post. Bright sunlight, a wide porch, balloons tied to white railings. My parents stood in the center, smiling like they had just won something bigger than money. My younger brother, Evan, stood next to Dad, his arm thrown casually over his shoulder. His wife and kids were there too, all dressed in matching blue shirts. I frowned. Something felt off. Then I saw it. A chalkboard sign in my mom's hands. Nothing like making memories with the whole family. My stomach dropped. I wasn't there. Not in the photo. Not in the background. Not even a mention in the caption. I zoomed in, my fingers trembling slightly. The balloons had 2025 printed on them. This wasn't old. This wasn't something I missed. This was now. And somehow, I had been completely erased from it. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe it was a small gathering. Maybe they were planning something bigger later. Maybe I missed a message. But then I noticed the details, the coordinated outfits, the decorations, the photographer quality angle. This wasn't last minute. This was planned. Carefully. Deliberately. Without me. That night, I showed the picture to my boyfriend, Ethan. He stared at it longer than I expected, his jaw tightening. Then he said quietly, "So they really did this without you?" I didn't answer, because the truth was already sitting between us, heavy and undeniable. I hadn't just missed the moment. I had never been invited. For 3 days, I told myself not to react. I didn't call. I didn't text. I didn't even like the post. I just watched. More pictures appeared on my mom's page, close-ups of the kitchen, the backyard, my niece blowing out candles on what looked like a new home cake. Every caption used the same word, family. By the 4th day, the word felt like a joke. Then, that Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. I already knew who it was. Ethan glanced at me from the kitchen, his expression careful. "You want me to get it?" I shook my head. "No, I've got it." When I opened the door, my parents stood there like nothing had happened. My mom smiled too brightly, holding a pink bakery box. "Surprise," she said. "We brought donuts." Donuts. Like we were meeting for a casual weekend visit. Like they hadn't just rewritten the definition of family without me. Dad stepped inside before I could respond, scanning the living room like he was checking inventory. "Nice place," he muttered, already settling onto the couch. Ethan stayed in the kitchen, quiet but watching. I didn't sit. I stayed standing, arms crossed. "You moved." Mom blinked, like the statement confused her. "Well, yeah, we've been busy." Busy. That was their explanation. No apology. No acknowledgement. "No, we should have told you. Just busy." Dad cleared his throat, leaning forward slightly. "Listen, we actually came by to talk about something important." "Of course you did." I didn't say it out loud, but I felt it. He launched into it like a business pitch. The basement wasn't finished yet. Costs had gone over budget. The contractor needed another payment. "We're close," he said. "Just need a little help to push it across the line." I stared at him. Not once did he mention the housewarming, the party, the photo. Not once did he explain why I wasn't there. Mom added softly, "You'll love the place once it's done. We can all watch movies together in the basement." We. That word again. Something inside me snapped into place. Quiet. Cold. Final. "You built it without me," I said evenly. They both looked up. "Finish it without me." The silence that followed wasn't loud, but it was enough to change everything. After they left, the apartment felt different. Quieter. Like something had finally stopped pretending. Ethan didn't say anything right away. He just stood there, leaning against the counter, watching me like he was waiting for me to decide who I was going to be next. I walked to the dining table and pulled out a drawer we barely used. Inside was a manila envelope. I hadn't touched it in months. "Are you sure?" Ethan asked gently. I didn't answer. I just opened it. Inside were printed bank transfers, screenshots of messages, even a birthday card from my mom. The one where she'd written, "We could have done this without you. We'll pay you back soon." I laid everything out on the table, one piece at a time. 20,000, I said, tapping the first page. That was for the land. Ethan nodded slowly. He remembered. We were saving for our own place. I added, but they said it was temporary. I flipped to the next document. 5,000 more. Heating system emergency. That one had come from my personal savings. Late nights, skipped vacations, saying no to things I wanted, just so I could say yes to them. They promised both times, I said quietly. Every single time. Ethan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. And they never paid anything back. I shook my head. Not a dollar. Not even an attempt. For a long moment, we just stared at the numbers. $25,000. It didn't look like love anymore. It looked like a pattern. They didn't forget to invite you, Ethan said finally. They chose not to. I swallowed hard. I know. And somehow, that hurt less than the next realization. They didn't think they had to include me, I said, because I already gave them what they needed. Money, support, silence. I gathered the papers into a neat stack, my hands steadier now. I want it back, I said. Ethan looked at me carefully. All of it? Yes. He nodded once. Then we do it properly. That night, I typed out a message. No emotion, no softness, no room for misinterpretation. You owe me $25,000. Please confirm how and when you plan to return it. I stared at the screen for a long second, and then I hit send. This time I wasn't asking. I was collecting. The message stayed unread for hours. Then a day. Then 3. No reply. At first, I told myself it was normal. People delay uncomfortable conversations. People need time. But deep down, I already knew what silence meant in my family. Silence wasn't confusion. It was strategy. On the 4th day, my mom finally called, but not me. She called Ethan. I found out when his phone rang on speaker while we were making dinner. "Hi, sweetheart," she said warmly, like nothing existed outside that tone. "We just wanted to check in. Tell Tina not to stress about all this money talk. It's really not that serious." Ethan didn't move. "It is serious." A pause. Then her voice shifted. Just slightly. "We don't want this to become a family issue." "It already is," he said. Click. She hung up. I stood there holding a knife over a cutting board I hadn't touched in minutes. That was their move. Not denial. Minimization. 2 days later, Evan texted me. "Why are you saying they owe you money? They said it was like a few $100s for groceries." I stared at the message. Groceries. I opened the folder. Sent him everything. Every transfer. Every message. Every timestamp. Then I waited. 2 hours later. They told me it was just help during a rough time. What is going on? That was the first crack. Not in them. In their story. Meanwhile, Mom posted again. A mother's love can't be measured in dollars. The comments were full of sympathy. Old neighbors. Church friends. People who didn't know anything except what she chose to show them. And then I saw it. A name I didn't expect. Jenna Park. Ethan's ex. Heart reactions. Supportive comments. Familiarity. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But something shifted inside me. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about control. And someone else had just entered the game. By the time I spoke to a lawyer, things had already stopped feeling personal. They felt documented, evidence-based, like my life had turned into a file folder labeled case. Ethan sat beside me in the consultation room, his hands folded tightly together. Across from us, the lawyer didn't react much while I explained everything. Just nodded, asked questions, wrote notes. When I slid the envelope of bank transfers across the desk, he didn't even hesitate. "You have a strong case," he said. That was it. No drama, no disbelief, just facts. A week later, the demand letter was sent. Certified mail, signature required, and that's when the silence broke. Not into apology, into anger. My dad called first, but not to me. "Ethan again. She's lost her mind." Dad's voice snapped through the speaker. "This is family money. We don't owe her anything." Ethan stayed calm. "Then you won't mind it being reviewed legally." That word changed the tone instantly. Legally. Click. Next came Evan. Full panic this time. "Why are you suing them?" "They said it was just help, not a loan." I sent him the same documents again. This time, he didn't respond quickly. When he finally did, it was different. They told me it was like $100 for gas and groceries. What the hell is going on? That was when I understood something important. They hadn't just lied to me. They had fragmented the truth, giving everyone a different version so no one could see the whole picture. But fragments don't hold up in court. Then Uncle Alan called. "I looked into it," he said calmly. "They've done this before." My stomach tightened. Before? A smaller loan for me. 15,000. Never fully explained. For a moment, I couldn't speak. He sighed. "They operate the same way every time. Different story, same pattern." That was the moment everything stopped being emotional and started becoming structural. He paused. "Send me everything you have." The next morning, Mom posted again. "When children forget where they came from, they lose themselves." But this time, something was different. People weren't reacting the same way anymore. Because truth, once it starts spreading, doesn't stay controlled for long. The final shift didn't come loudly. It came quietly, like most endings do. Uncle Alan called me one evening. His voice steady but satisfied in a way I hadn't heard before. "They admitted something interesting," he said. I sat down immediately. "What?" "Your dad said he moved the money before things got messy." I froze. He said it like it was nothing. Alan continued. "But that sentence, it matters legally." Ethan looked at me from across the room, already understanding before I even explained. That wasn't just a lie anymore. That was intent. And intent changes everything. The lawyer moved fast after that. Faster than I expected. Then came the emails, the filings, the responses, the counters. But something had changed. The fear had shifted sides. My parents weren't controlling the narrative anymore. They were reacting to it. Desperately. First came the phone calls, missed calls, voicemails, then texts. "Please don't do this. We can fix this like family. Money shouldn't destroy us." But none of them mentioned the house anymore. Not the dream home. Not the basement. Because the basement was still unfinished. Still exposed. Still there like proof they couldn't erase. Then came the smear posts. Anonymous accounts. Fake messages. Old stories twisted into warnings about toxic partners and manipulated daughters. But it didn't land the same anymore. People had already seen too much. Receipts don't unexist. Evan finally called me, not text. His voice was different. Smaller. "I didn't know," he said. "They told me you were exaggerating. I saw everything. I'm sorry." I didn't respond right away, because I needed to understand what that apology meant. Then I said softly, "I know. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was truth acknowledged." Weeks later, the legal update came. Accounts frozen. Evidence accepted. Case moving toward resolution. Not victory. Not punishment. Just closure forming slowly in legal language. And then, one evening, I drove past the house. The dream home. The porch lights were off. The lawn uneven. And through the open garage door I saw it. The basement. Still unfinished. Concrete. Exposed pipes. Half-built promise sitting in silence. A structure built on expectation, without foundation. I stayed there for a moment. Engine running. Then I whispered, almost to myself, "You built it without me." A pause. Then softer. Now finish it without me. And for the first time, it didn't hurt. It felt like distance, like peace finally choosing me back. That night, Ethan held my hand and said, "You didn't lose your family." I looked at him. "You just stopped financing it." And I finally believed him.